It's a beautiful day here at Garden Crossings, and I always feel like midsummer is just the most fantastic time of year to do video updates of all of the plants that are blooming here in the garden. It's mid-July right now, and this is no exception. There is just so much content to talk about, and I'm really excited to be sharing with you over the next few days the various different gardens here at Garden Crossings. Hydrangeas are in their prime right now, and I always feel like when hydrangeas are in their prime, that's when the gardens are also in their prime. So today, let's go ahead and take a look here at the front landscape right in front of the garden center, around our parking lot, and to see all of the beautiful things that are blooming. It may seem a little odd to put this much beauty and energy into creating a beautiful parking lot, but to be honest, this is probably one of our most vibrant places here in the gardens here at Garden Crossings is our parking lot gardens. These have been planted now for, we're probably going on 8 if not 10 years, and it's definitely something when people get here in our parking lot, really these plants stand out and often are a conversation piece as they head into the garden center and ask, what is that in your parking lot that is blooming? So these plants that we have planted here in the islands in the parking lot are the Bobo Hydrangeas. So some of you might be thinking, oh, I have Bobo Hydrangea. I know exactly what you're talking about. And you're looking at these plants going, oh my goodness, they are huge. Well, that is true. These plants are very large, and Bobo Hydrangea typically is a very compact hydrangea, but they are just loving the life that we're giving them here at Garden Crossings. Typically, Bobo will be around 3.5 foot tall, 3.5 foot wide. But these specimens that we have here in the landscape, they're on drip, and they do get some fertilizer regularly. So they are, like I said, living their best life in the prime here in the parking lot. These plants are upwards of 4 foot tall by about 4 foot wide and are doing fabulous. So Bobo Hydrangea is a compact hydrangea for gardens or landscapes. They also can be planted in containers, hardy down to zone 3. They're very versatile in many areas, really, no matter where it is you want to plant them. So they're right now just coming into bloom. Beautiful white blooms, a little bit of lime color going on there. And you can just see that the blooms are just covering this plant. I mean, there is hardly a leaf to be seen here. These flowers, as they continue to age, are going to take on a nice dusty pink coloration. So you're going to be able to enjoy the crisp, clean white blooms here when they emerge, and then as they age, they're going to fade to a beautiful dusty pink coloration. Now, we are located in Michigan. We're a Zone 6A garden. As you can tell, these are planted in full sun right here in the middle of our parking lot. I did mention that they are on drip irrigation, and I do recommend that if you are planting the Bobo Hydrangea in a full sun location, that you do make sure that it's getting watered regularly. Otherwise, you may find that it starts to wilt. We have these beautiful hydrangeas paired with 2 of our favorite annuals, at least for this garden. How can you pick a favorite, right? So in this garden, we have the verbena meteor showers. We love verbena meteor showers because it is such a fun and whimsy annual. Beautiful globe-like looking blooms. This plant is a favorite of the monarch butterflies that hang out here at Garden Crossings. Actually, there is one tucked in there right now. And yeah, they're a great plant for attracting the butterflies here in the garden. They're a little fun, they're a little whimsy. They're about 24 to 30 inches tall, so a nice upright thriller in this space. And then up in front of those, we plant the Supertunia Mini Vista Hot Pink Petunias. So as you can see, they're a nice low growing ground cover. And as the season goes on, they're going to continue to fill out this space where realistically by the end of the summer, we shouldn't see any of the wood chips that are planted in this garden bed. I love the kind of patriotic feel of this, kind of the pink, the blue, and the white, giving us kind of that red, white, and blue feel. And it's such a vibrant pop of color. I'm going to back up so you can see, like, as you drive into this space, just the intense beauty that you're seeing of these plants. As we cross over the parking lot and head up to the front of the garden center, you'll notice we put a lot of color and energy into the plants that we also plant up near our entrance. And this year we have the weekender hanging baskets. This is the second year actually we've done this, but these are hanging baskets that have a water reservoir in them. So they have to get filled about every 2 to 3 days, but they just continue to hang from the entryway here. And we had these specially designed for us here at Garden Crossings where they would hang in a trio from top to bottom. This year, the plants that we used are the Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow. And then we also have the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. Hanging over the edge, we have some of the Lasmachia Creeping Jenny. And then also there is some sweet potato vine in there as well. And I believe this is the Sweet Caroline Jet Black sweet potato vine. So really a lot of color. These hanging baskets, I think, are 20-inch hanging baskets, so they're very large. And like I mentioned, they have a water reservoir in them. So the growers will come out here every 2 to 3 days and check the water to make for sure that there is enough water in here. You can see underneath there's a plug, and that plug is what's actually holding the water in the hanging basket so that it doesn't drip out the bottom. There is an overflow on the edge where if they get too much water in here, the baskets will drain any excess water out through the overflow, because obviously you don't want to have a soupy wet mess with your hanging baskets holding too much water. So like I said, they buy us about 3 days, 2 to 3 days between watering, and you can see the plants are absolutely gorgeous. When we do fill these up with water, the growers do put some fertilizer into that water reservoir, and that way it keeps the plants looking great all summer long as well. One tip we can give you is if you are growing annuals, is to feed them, and they'll just reward you with a fabulous display of color all summer long. The only exception I would say to that would be sun patiens. They like minimal feed, and really if you aren't able to feed them, they will be just as happy as well. Along the front of the parking lot, you'll notice there's a very vibrant presence of color. And what are the plants that we're using here? Along the front of the parking lot, we have the Macedonia Gold Dust. This is a very underutilized and under talked about plant. The impact of color is just phenomenal. You can see there's a monarch that's coming to check it out right now. Very low growing, only about 3 to 4, maybe 5 inches tall. When these were planted, they started off as about an 8-inch mound of color, and they now have all grown into one solid border here. I love that intense yellow, and it's a matte of color, something very vibrant, and I think it really sets off the other plants in this bed very well. So what are those other plants that we're using? We have the Toucan Yellow Canna, and we have those planted. It's kind of more of a statement type of a plant, a thriller, and they are doing really nicely, and I like how the yellows kind of really pair well together. We also have some unplugged salvia planted in, and that was also planted with the intention of being a thriller in this combination, and the butterflies love that. A lot of what we do here is really plant things with the intention of attracting and creating a wonderful place for the butterflies to come and check out. On the back side of the walkway, we have the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. I am in love with Vista Jazzberry. I love the color. It's a beautiful kind of purpley pink color. And for those of you who are not familiar with Supertunias, I want to tell you, are not your grandmother's petunias. These are the no-pick petunias. So for those of you that are going, oh, petunias, I don't want to deal with petunias, these are very easy to grow. You don't need to sit there and deadhead them and pick at them to keep them looking fabulous all summer long. Those, my friends, those are your grandma's petunias. The old varieties that came from seed, they did need to be deadheaded and picked at to continue to look fabulous all summer long. But these new varieties, these Supertunias, are definitely very easy to care for and do a fabulous job out in the landscape. So we've got basically the 4 different plants there, the Gold Dust, the Canna, the Salvia, and the Supertunias that are giving us this amazing splash of color here at the front of our parking lot. Now you'll also notice we have some fabulous AquaPots planted up. So let's take a look at those and break down what we're currently seeing in those. The fun thing when you plant planters is they look totally different when you plant them as to what they look like midsummer and even towards the end of the summer. And that's true for the planters here at Garden Crossings. These plants looked totally different when they first were planted as to what they look like now. So all of our AquaPots have a palm tree as the thriller, and you can see in this particular one the salvia are growing almost as tall as the palm tree, really kind of covering it. Everything is still happy and doing nice, but I am very surprised with how tall these salvia are. I should mention that the AquaPots are a self-watering planter as well. There's a water reservoir, and these could last up to 5 days between watering, but the growers, when they're out there filling those weekender baskets, they also are refilling these with water and fertilizer as well. We have the Medusa sweet potato vine, very beautifully serrated edges, giving kind of that beautiful chartreuse green here in this combination, along with the Supertunia Mini Vista Hot Pink. We've got some osteospermum. I think this is the sunset color. And the really nice thing with these new osteospermums that we carry is typically osteospermums in the summer, they kind of slow down and they really don't flower a lot. But as you can see in this planter, they are putting on a fantastic show of color, even here in the heat of summer of July. So, and I love that kind of orangey corally color paired with the pinks and the purples in this planter. So I'm very pleased with how this particular one turned out this year. You kind of plant things sometimes and just, you don't know what they're going to look like. Sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose, and you make notes of the winnings, and you also make notes of those things that haven't done as well. Here's another beautiful AquaPot, and this one too, although there's drastically different plants in this one, it too has continued to do fabulous this year. So what do we have in this AquaPot? We have the Angelonia, perfectly pink, which we used as kind of an upright thriller. We've got the Lantana. I believe this is the Royal Cosmo that we used. The purple we're seeing is the Browalia, which can also be used as a shade plant. And then we did Lasmachia Creeping Jenny to trail over the edges. So vastly different plants pairing together to create this beautiful combination. Another AquaPot with, again, a very distinctly different look to it. Here we've got the dark black sweet potato vine, which is great. So when you're planting things, flowers is not the only thing you have to consider when you're thinking about colors and pairing things together. Foliage is equally as important and really plays an important role in planter, container, hanging basket designs. We have Kufia Vermillionaire, which is a hummingbird favorite. For those of you who know, you know just what a fantastic plant this is if you are looking to attract the hummingbirds to the garden. We also did some of the nonstop begonias, and typically you wouldn't really plant nonstops in hot, full sun, but because these are in an AquaPot and they're getting plenty of water, and they're a little bit shaded there by that sweet potato vine, they're doing very well here in these AquaPots. And to spill over the edge, we did super bells. You can see these beautiful coral and yellow super bells just nicely starting to trail over in this container. And at the entrance, we have the salvia. This is the Rockin' Deep Purple Salvia. Salvia is a great plant also for attracting hummingbirds and butterflies to the garden. I love that even when the flowers aren't present, you're seeing some beautiful dark spikes or calyx where the flowers are going to come from. And those two, even when not in flower, add a lot of interest to this look. So the salvia is the thriller in addition to the palm tree. We planted some geraniums in here as well. So we've got some of our boldly geraniums. So we do have to come out and deadhead and keep those geraniums looking nice. But they're holding out really well in the AquaPot. We have super bells, the pink lemonade. I love the color of the pink lemonade. Kind of a tricolor with the pink, a little bit of orange or salmon, and yellow. All that color is coming off of one plant, one flower. So it's really pretty to see just how one plant can create so much texture and interest with having various colors on a flower. And then of course we've got the Daikon or Silver Falls, which spills over the edge, and I just love that silvery foliage up against the cobalt blue here of the AquaPots. And then the few little wispy greens you're seeing, that's the big leaf vine, which we've used a considerable amount of that this year as well, just because it adds just kind of a nice little filler feel to our hanging baskets that we've planted for sale in the store, as well as the container combinations. If you're looking for some inspiration on how you can add beautiful color to your landscape, I'm hoping that this video has given you the inspiration that you're looking for to add those bright pops of color. If you have any questions or comments on any of the plants that you've seen in today's video, please feel free to leave it below. If you're new to our station, we welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.